Good morning, students. We will talk about head and neck space infection part 2 in this lecture. One of the important space which is present in posterior part of our pharynx is retropharyngeal space. This space lies behind the pharynx between the prevertebral fascia and the buccopharyngeal fascia. Buccopharyngeal fascia is the posterior part. It makes the posterior part of the pharynx behind this constrictor muscles. So this retropharyngeal space extends from the base of skull to the bifurcation of trachea and divides into two aside lateral spaces by a fibrous raphe, and this lateral space is known as space of Gillette. Space of Gillette contains retropharyngeal lymph node which is usually disappears at the age of 3 to 4 years of age. Prevertebral space, this is behind to the retropharyngeal space and it lies between the vertebral bodies posteriorly and the prevertebral fascia anteriorly. It extends from the base of skull to the coccyx and it's most common space for the Cary's spine. So usually whenever patient will have retropharyngeal abscess, patient have lateral aside bulge over the pharynx area, and prevertebral abscess patient will have midline bulge at the pharyngeal wall in the oral cavity. So these are the vertebra. Followed by this prevertebral fascia, and this is the prevertebral space. This is the buccopharyngeal fascia and this is the retropharyngeal space, and this is our pharyngeal tube which contains oropharynx, hypopharynx and nasopharynx. Etiology of this retropharyngeal abscess. Retropharyngeal abscess can be acute in nature or chronic in nature. Acute retropharyngeal abscess is usually seen in children below the 3 years of age whenever patient will have upper respiratory tract infection, and patient can have infection in the adenoid, nasopharynx and nasal cavity. This infection will reach up to the retropharyngeal node which is present up to the 3 to 4 years of age, and this retropharyngeal node will suppurate and will form the pus into the retropharyngeal space and will form the acute retropharyngeal abscess. So secondary to the upper respiratory tract infection. In adult population, it can be because of penetrating injury to the posterior pharyngeal wall, and after that injury there will be infection over the local site. Another abscess is chronic retropharyngeal abscess, that is usually tubercular in nature, in which patient will have caries of the cervical spine, or tuberculous infection which can be from these caries of cervical spine can reach up to the retropharyngeal node, and patient will develop recurrent chronic retropharyngeal abscess. In acute abscess, patient will have dysphagia or difficulty in breathing due to the obstruction over the laryngeal area or pressure over the larynx from the posterior part of pharynx. Patient will have difficulty in breathing. Dysphagia, that is the difficulty in swallowing, or odynophagia, that is the pain while swallowing, can be present. Patient can have croup cough and stridor also. Torticollis due to the neck muscle involvement, that is a stiff neck with extended head, and there will be bulge on the lateral side of the posterior pharyngeal wall. In chronic retropharyngeal abscess, patient will have discomfort in throat, sometimes also the dysphagia, and there will be bulge in the posterior pharyngeal wall which is fluctuant in nature. In this chronic and acute retropharyngeal abscess can be diagnosed by local examination and looking into the oropharynx and indirect laryngoscopic examination. Indirect laryngoscopic examination can give you idea about laryngeal status and exact compression over the larynx and idea about the difficulty in breathing. Investigation are X-ray lateral neck, CT scan. In X-ray lateral neck, we can see that there is widening of this prevertebral shadow, which is suggestive of acute retropharyngeal abscess. In chronic retropharyngeal abscess, caries spine can reach up to this space. Sometimes even presence of gas can be present over the local site. In CT scan, we can see that there is a abscess collection over the retropharyngeal space. This CT scan give you idea about the exact size of this abscess, amount of pus collected, and from which site we can incise and drain the abscess. In this CT scan diagram, you can see that there is a pulse collection just anterior to this vertebral bodies. So that is a retropharyngeal abscess. It has extended from the oropharynx up to this larynx and behind the inferior part of the larynx area. So retropharyngeal space can reach up to the trachea, up to where retropharyngeal space lies. This is the larynx. So this retropharyngeal abscess can compress the larynx and can cause difficulty in swallowing and difficulty in breathing also. Investigation are X-ray neck lateral view. Pre-op major investigation for the incision and drainage, CBC, RBS, routine investigations. Treatment is incision and drainage intraorally for the acute abscess, and incision and drainage externally for the chronic abscess. Vertical incision at the anterior border of sternocleidomastoid for the low abscess, and for the high abscess, posterior incision and drainage at the posterior border of sternocleidomastoid. Tracheostomy if is needed if abscess is large and compressing the larynx and patient is developing stridor. Higher antibiotics are needed. Pus culture and sensitivity of the drained abscess should be done. That will give mainly in the 70 to 80% of cases of tuberculous origin, and patient will need full course of AKT as we give in the caries spine. So this is all about retropharyngeal space infection. Another important space which lies over just behind the pharynx is parapharyngeal space, and the infection occurs in it, that is known as parapharyngeal space abscess. This parapharyngeal space extends from the base of skull to the hyoid bone. It is pyramidal in shape, and other name are pharyngomaxillary and lateral neck space. In this diagram, you can see the parapharyngeal space which is bounded by the buccopharyngeal fascia here, and the medial surface of this mandible, medial pterygoid muscle, submandibular gland, and attached to the hyoid bone. So this area is the parapharyngeal space. This parapharyngeal space usually medially bounded by the buccopharyngeal fascia covering the constrictor muscles. Laterally, it has deep surface of parotid, mandible, medial pterygoid muscle, and submandibular gland. Posterior part contains the prevertebral fascia covering the prevertebral muscles and transverse process of the cervical vertebra. Now this parapharyngeal space usually divided into two parts with the attachment of the styloid process and attached muscle to it. It is divided into the two compartments. Anterior to the styloid process is anterior compartment, and posterior to the styloid process is the posterior compartment. Now this anterior compartment is bounded medially by the tonsillar fossa, and medial pterygoid muscle is situated laterally here. So this is the pre-styloid compartment. This is the parotid gland, and posterior compartment, which is bounded by the posterior part of lateral pharyngeal wall medially here, and laterally by the parotid gland. So this is the parotid gland which is present on the lateral side. This is the pharynx which is present on the medial side, and this is the pre-styloid and this is the post-styloid compartment. Important content in this parapharyngeal space are carotid artery, jugular vein, cranial nerves 9 to 12, and sympathetic trunk, cervical sympathetic trunk. Etiology for parapharyngeal space abscess. This abscess is usually secondary to the different other neck space infection or infection in the upper respiratory tract. So parapharyngeal space infection or abscess can occur after the burst quinsy, or peritonsillar abscess can occur after the acute or chronic tonsillitis. Retropharyngeal abscess, parotid abscess, Ludwig's angina, and sometimes from also ear basal abscess or petrositis. Sometimes primary infection can occur by penetrating injury like the local anesthesia injection over the local site or traumatic neck injury. General symptoms of an abscess are fever, malaise, body ache, headache, and chills and rigor. Local symptom for this parapharyngeal space infection are swelling over the angle of the mandible. Patient can develop odynophagia or difficulty in swallowing according to the abscess site and abscess size. Torticollis can develop due to muscle spasm. Trismus can develop due to the medial pterygoid involvement which is present on the lateral side of the parapharyngeal space. Patient can develop sore throat and pain in throat. On involvement of anterior compartment, just anterior to the styloid process, there will be prolapse of tonsil or tonsillar fossa which is medialized in the pharynx area. There will be external swelling behind the angle of the jaw. On the posterior compartment involvement, there is bulge behind the posterior pillar. There will be paralysis of the 9 to 12th nerve and sympathetic cervical chain. Swelling is usually present over the parotid region, as this region or parotid gland is situated laterally to the parapharyngeal space. Now, whenever this parapharyngeal space infection is large in nature, as we can see, parapharyngeal space is situated on this side, and this infection can reach up to the larynx and patient can develop laryngeal complication. The content of this parapharyngeal space is also important, and these content are also important in neck spaces. So whenever there is parapharyngeal space infection which is severe in nature, it can injury to this content and patient can develop different complication according to the involvement of different content. Acute edema of the larynx can occur which can cause respiratory obstruction and which will need tracheostomy. This is usually rare nowadays. Thrombophlebitis of the jugular vein can occur and jugular vein thrombosis with septicemia can occur. Spread of infection can reach up to the retropharyngeal space behind it. Spread of infection can occur up to the mediastinum along this carotid space. Aneurysm of carotid artery wall can occur and it causes weakening of the carotid artery wall. This weakened wall can rupture and patient can have massive hemorrhage which can be life threatening in this abscess. Carotid blowout with massive hemorrhage can occur due to the infection of the carotid artery. Investigations, we can go for routine investigation like CBC, RBS, HbSAg, HIV and pre-op major investigation. X-ray neck and epilateral view can be taken. USG neck will give you idea about the abscess just over the tonsil, peritonsillar region and over the just medial to the parotid gland. CT scan give you idea about the exact size and amount of pus in and extent of the parotid parapharyngeal space infection. In this diagram, this is a CT scan in which you can see that there is a abscess just lateral to the pharynx and medial to this medial pterygoid muscle, and this is parotid gland. So this is the parapharyngeal space infection which is medial mandible and medial pterygoid muscle, and this treatment for the parapharyngeal space infection is hospitalization, bed rest, IV fluid as we have seen in other infections, systemic antibiotic, painkiller, anti-inflammatory drugs and betadine gargle. Incision and drainage of the abscess can done under local anesthesia if patient is cooperative, or if there is a severe infection can be done under general anesthesia. Can be done by making an incision over the 2 to 3 centimeter below the angle of the mandible, and this parapharyngeal space infection can be drained. Repeated dressing and repeated drainage of the abscess should be done in this type of patient, and injectable antibiotics should be started to prevent any major complication and to decrease the pus. So this is all about different neck space infection. Thank you.